Ready?
Yeah.
All right, and we are back at the View
Hello.
at the Marriott.
Indeed.
Andrew, I had a very awkward exchange last night, and I feel like the older I get, the more of my stories start with the preface, this is a very awkward exchange.
Either that or the more God molecule you do.
Exactly. Well, that's what I said. Like, I was talking to this guy last night who did the same thing, and he told me like all these like things that like he saw. Like he said, like when he did the God molecule, like everything got into this deep saturated Simpsons color.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my god, like I didn't get any of that. Like, you know, I must have sounded like the biggest drug addict to everybody around me. I was just like, what? How come I got gypped on that?
I always think, I can't remember. I can't remember a time ever not doing acid or mushrooms. Is what I started to say. What I meant to say was, in the time before I ever experimented with any of those, I remember thinking that like most people were probably full of shit, and I think that a lot of them were. Like, yeah, especially with,
I feel
like,
that way.
Yeah, like I mean, like, yeah, people are like, oh, like I thought I was Superman, tried to jump off a building, but like all
Never
that
gonna do
bullshit.
that.
Like, yeah, it's like none of that shit ever happened.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like you hear these stories and people talk about like, oh, what if I like do this drug and then I suddenly I want to eat people's face.
Right.
Basically, I feel like the only way you would ever want to eat someone's face is if you had thought about eating people's faces beforehand.
Right.
Like, you know, like if you're one of those people who's kind of like a shitty person, like and hiding it, and then you do drugs, that might come out.
Yeah,
But, like if you're not somebody, if you've never thought about like jumping out a window.
Right.
Then
I think there's definitely people that that either do drugs or drink or like that, like just for the built-in excuse, where it's like, you know, hey, I really want to go out to a bar and beat people up, but like if I did that and I wasn't drunk, everybody would think I was even more of an asshole than I already am.
I had this British guy staying with me for a little while, and he was really into rugby, and so he dragged me to go see some rugby game. And as we were leaving the bar, like he wanted to get into a fight with someone. That doesn't matter who, anyone, you know. And he's like, yeah, maybe we'll just like mix it up over here like that.
Right.
And I had to say to him afterwards, thank you. Oh yeah, fantastic. And I had to say to him as we were leaving, and he's like eyeballing some dude like that he has marked for a fight. I like pulled him aside and was like, look, we don't do that. And like I feel, and in his mind he was like, oh, what's the big deal? We're just getting a little scrum.
Right.
You know, like
perfectly ordinary Sheffield Wednesday.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And actually, my friend Nick, like he brought a bunch of people over to England, and they got into they got jumped by some guys.
Right.
And they basically got beat up, or like I don't know, it was a street fight or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And they went back to like Nick's British relative's house, and her whole thing is like, oh, you got into a little scuffle, did ya? Like it's like the most normal thing in the world, and I'm just like, yeah, we don't do that.
It's like, I'll go get me home surgery kit.
Exactly,
Stitch up your brain, why don't we?
Yeah, exactly. So I was at this bar last night, and I met this guy who's in this band called King Tough, which I really like, and just like so happens, it's like, yeah, like, you know, I'm in that band. And I was like, oh man, I really liked your last album. And he's like, oh, I told him, I was like, yeah, I got it as soon as it came out. And he's like, really, how'd you hear about it? And I was like, well, you know Alan from Mission. He wrote something about and posted about your band and posted like a video, and I liked it. And so then I was about to say, and then I went out and downloaded it, but then I said like, oh, but then I went out and got it. But so yeah, because I just didn't want to be like, hey, you know that free album you put out? It's awesome. But I think that I'm just being too sensitive, because I feel like bands nowadays, they know it's the time, what time it is.
Exactly. And I think that like I know you probably feel the same way. I think that people over a certain age, and you know, of which I consider myself one, I've put enough money into the system to where I think that it's just, you know, it's fair enough. I think at this point, if I get a song or two for free,
I feel like
same thing with movies too. Like I feel like you know, like between Laserdiscs and CDs and like having stuff on vinyl and then updating it to CDs and then like getting it online, I've put enough money into the system to where like I don't feel like I should ever have to pay for anything again. Yeah,
I feel like the music industry has screwed both people who listen to music and people who make music over for so long. And now they're just basically like sit back and just totally surprised that people are screwing them over.
Right.
It's like, wait, how did you ever learn how to do that? How did you learn to be a fucking greedy asshole?
Well, and it's kind of fun in a like guys from trading places kind of way. Yeah, like the goddamn it, what are the names?
Mortimer.
The two old guys.
Yeah, Don Amici.
Don Amici and Ralph Bellamy.
I mean, I don't know.
Like it's kind of fun to walk past them, like them being the music industry, and just be like, haha, now you live on the street, you scumbag.
Yeah, and you know what? I bought like a lot of like CDs in my time, and bought CDs when they were like $17 each. When they first came out, and people in the industry said, well, it's just a new format, so the price will go down, and it never fucking did. And so I bought a bunch of CDs. And then, like, when I got a little older and had a little bit more bills and had to, like, I had more expenses, I stopped buying CDs. But then when I started downloading music, I got back into music again. It's like it was just such a narrow-minded sort of perspective on, like, the information, the exchange of information. They thought, like, oh, well, nobody's going to make any money anymore on music. It's like, no, actually, I ended up going to more concerts than I ever did after I started downloading.
Randolph and Mortimer Duke. Go ahead.
I
didn't want the thousands of fans that we have to like be writing in.
When I was the kid and we wanted the jacuzzi, I had to fart in the bathtub. So, Billy Ray Valentine?
Billy Ray.
So
outside my limousine.
All right, no more trading places or references.
We'll devote an entire episode to that later on.
No, we're not going to complain about the record industry. Although I will say I saw an interview with Darius Rucker recently, and also known as Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish.
AKA. And he cannot complain about it because he was in a band called Hootie and the Blowfish, so screw you. You're Hootie.
Yeah, supposedly he's been really mad because people keep calling him Hootie, whatever. So he was saying that one of the best things he's ever done is he's made the switch and now he does country music.
Right.
And he said one of the great things about country music fans is that they still buy CDs. And that means
sort of another way of saying the great thing about country music is that they're all still really stupid.
Exactly.
Like they were back in the 80s where they can't figure out computers, so we still have to sell them magic CDs made by lasers.
But like he's like had something like 4 like country music albums like at number 1.
Do you know?
And I'm sure he's making a boatload off it.
Do you know what the largest city is as far as country music sales, like in the United States? Like, and it's just total record sales.
Is it New York?
It is New York.
Yeah, because
the New York metropolitan area buys more country music than anywhere in the United States.
I remember like someone telling me they had a friend in New York who was giving my friend shit for like living in San Francisco, and this was like a long time ago. And he's like, I don't think I could like live in a place with that many gay people. She was just like, there's more gay people in New York than there are in San Francisco, just by the sheer size of the fucking place. Like
with anywhere you live, like you could surround yourself by totally like-minded people, no matter where you are in the world, pretty much. I mean, like, you'd be out in the Serengeti Desert and find, like, some hipster who's really into Animal Collective to hang out with, probably.
Oh, I find that. But I think the moral of the story is, like, if you're going to sell, like, country albums, or if you want to, like, make money off of album sales, the worst thing you can be is, like, in King Tough or in a hipster band where everybody's, like, super, like, tech-savvy, and it's like, but, they'll all come to your shows. Hopefully they'll come to your shows and buy a T-shirt, which I hear is that's the best way to support a band. Yeah. Like, you hear, like, these stories about the music industry. Like, I saw Johnny Rotten on Jimmy Kimmel, and he was like instructing people to go and download the old Sex Pistols albums because they still sell thousands of copies and they don't see any of that money because whatever the label was fucked them over out of all their...
See, what I can see happening now is if the record industries continue to lose money and the band T-shirt industry continues, like, they'll just move all. They'll be like, we'll sign you to $1 million deal, but we get all the T-shirt money.
Yeah.
And like, the band will be like, fuck, there's like, nobody bought a single record.
Yeah, I'm the head of Sony T-shirts.
Exactly.
So, I didn't know that was a division. It is now.
Yeah, we just bought the record division.
What else is going on in the news?
In the news? Oh, Jesus. Well, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up last week, actually, and that's that we suffered our first casualty as far as, like, bars go. Because a bar that we went to, episode 13, 14, something like that, with a certain Mr. Drew Harmon, the Bigfoot Lodge, closed down, like about a week and a half ago.
That place was cursed.
It was cursed. It was going gangbusters until about 3 or 4 years ago, and then people just started complaining about this terrible Michigan vibe.
I wonder if like Drew knows about it, like that, because it's like,
oh, he was very broken up about it. Actually.
Really? Because
yeah.
because I remember when I asked him to be on the show, I was like, just pick your favorite bar. He's like, oh, I love this bar, and then like 2 months later, closed.
I love this bar, and the best thing about it is that it will last forever.
It's always gonna be here. Well,
but I don't even know what they did with the big giant Bigfoot or any of that stuff. Like,
man, that'd be great. We should like look into like getting that Bigfoot like for.
Well, we should have gone the last night and just walked out with it.
That'd
like,
be great.
What do you need it to open in the morning? Fuck you, it's mine now.
Great if like Drew went to the auction and bought the Bigfoot. And he's like walking into his apartment and his wife's like, honey, he's like, hey, look what I bought.
Like, you're gonna have to move out.
Look what I bought.
There's not room for this Bigfoot and you.
You always said you wanted to have a threesome. Well, you know what? I wonder like what the deal is with that, as far as like why that closed. Because I feel like there's so much money going through the San Francisco right now that everything's getting developed over. Case in point, at the bottom of the Marriott here, there was this 4th Street sports bar, and that closed up. That's gone. And
I say good riddance to that place because I had 2 or 3 horrible experiences there where like I couldn't get served. I was like, like I was sitting in like the wrong section, or like they would be like, or if I went up to, I think there was one time I went into the bar section, sat at a table, and like nobody came by for like 10 minutes, so I went up to the bar and like ordered a drink, and the guy was like, you have to order from your waitress.
Oh, I hate it
and
when
I was
they
like,
do
you
that.
know what? Like, you can't fucking tell me what to do. I'm out of here.
Oh yeah, that happened when I was in Taunton. Like, I went to meet a friend for a drink. And there's like it's like 4:30,
Right.
and it's like there's nobody in the bar, and so I grab a table because I'm waiting for my friend to show up.
Right.
And before she got there, like I was like, nobody's coming to take my order, so I go to the bar, and the guy looks at me, and he's like, I was like, yeah, can I get a dogfish? And he's like, dogfish? I'm like, okay, dogfish head beer, and like it's one of the beers that he has on tap, and he's like, oh yeah, okay. And then
that dogfish.
Right, exactly. The other, God. And so then he looks at me. Although before he pours the beer, he looks at me and goes, "Are you sitting over there?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, you gotta wait for the waitress." I was like, "Well, I've been waiting for the waitress." And the thing is, like, this place is fucking empty.
Right.
Right. So, and then the lady comes over, and I was like, "Hi, can I get a dogfish head, beer, draft?" And she goes, "Is it just going to be you here?" And I was just like,
how many fucking rules do you have?
right, yeah, exactly. I was like, why? And she's like, well,
It's like, oh, this isn't the dogfish section.
if we get busy, we need to have more than like one person sitting at the booth. And I was like,
I guess what's going to prevent you from getting busy, like being an asshole?
Right, exactly. I was like, well, I'm meeting a friend here, but the place is empty.
Right.
And so she's like, oh yeah, I know. And she went and got me my beer, and I was just like, I cannot believe, like,
Right.
that's one of the things where it's like, maybe it was like I was like in some sort of like corporate restaurant or something where they had a bunch of fucking rules.
They must.
But
I mean, because I'm sure there's probably some like manager like overlooking them. Like, did you just seat somebody in the busy section? It's like, yeah, because it's empty, asshole.
Oh, well, I have another story about like people like overseeing people's work. I was going to the Charlotte airport last week, and of course I'm going through the TSA security checkpoint.
Always a pleasure.
Right, and the guy's like, do you have anything in your pockets? And I was like, just some money.
Just my dick.
Nothing that you could stop. Anyway, so, and this is, I've always said this, the smaller the city, the shittier, like the more dickish the
Right.
TSA agents are.
There's less to do, except
exactly.
for being
It's like,
jackasses.
hey, let me tell you something, Memphis, Tennessee. No one's trying to fucking like blow up your airport.
Right.
You fucking wish. So I'm at the Charlotte airport, and the guy's like, okay, take out your money, put it in your hand. Then I have to do that fucking horrible thing where you hold up your hands and the thing x-rays your fucking genitals. And so then I come out and the guy is standing there and he's like, okay, let me see that. And I was like, see what? He's like, what's in your hand? I was like, it's my money. And he takes it and he starts like folding it to see if there's anything in it. He's like, no, there could be something in here. I was like, hey, no, nothing could be in there. He's like, oh no, you be surprised. I was like, come on, dude. I was like, and he kept doing it, like, way, and I just went, hey, give me that back. And he like, and he like gave it back to me.
Hey, Flatfoot.
Right, I know. Well, the thing is, like, I mean, like, it's basically, I mean, when do you hand over your money to some like fucking idiot who's like folding it over to see if you've got like a bomb inside of it? And I was like, hey, give me that back. And he like looks at me and he gives it back to me and he goes, they have cameras watching us. And he's like, we have to do this. And I was just like, all I could think of is like, wait, I really should have said like, oh, they're watching you, watching me. Who's watching them?
Right.
So whatever, like, and all of that sort of like.
And then time and space collapse in on itself.
Right, exactly. Have fun. I mean, I honestly feel like there's a few jobs that, regardless of how hard up I am, I would never take. Like, I could never be like a meter maid, no matter how much they paid me, and I could never be a TSA agent. Like, no matter how much I think that I'm doing someone a fucking favor.
You'd be like, TSA, huh? How much does the dick sucking job pay?
Right, exactly. Well, hey, there's jobs at the post office, and there's jobs like blowing people down at the bus station. Right.
Jobs blowing people at the post office.
Ooh, the post office is kind of cool. All right, so let's take a break.
Let's do that.
All right, we will be back from the View, high atop the Marriott.
Indeed.
And we're back at the View.
The View, high atop the Marriott.
High, overlooking the beautiful San Francisco skyline.
It does. Like it's and the sun's starting to go down a little bit. Like it's really nice up here.
There's actually some. From up here we can see that they're having some performance in front of the Jewish Museum.
They are, and like I can see like the people. They look like ants, by the way.
Oh wait a minute, they're doing
some sort of weird dance.
Is there some sort of like Jewish line dancing that I don't know about?
I was gonna say it's like a combination of like Tai Chi and like the electric slide.
Yeah, it totally is. Wow.
So,
all right. So
if you're by the Jewish Center on Thursday nights, come by and do some weird zombie dancing.
Yeah, if you're walking by the Jewish Museum and you're not confused enough, come over here and go watch these strange.
And if you don't go there, you should definitely check out.
All right, here we go.
Okay, this I got an email for this today from Gold Star. And Gold Star, they're basically the sort of ticket clearing house where it's like, oh shit, we didn't sell any tickets for a night with oats. So like
half price tickets.
Right. So like, here's some for free or like a $5 service charge. But this is a festival, that's going on across the bay in Richmond, which is not really known as a great part of the Bay Area or the world.
Yeah, you can go to Richmond and smell the sunset.
Exactly. But this thing is called Steamstock 2, and it's a steampunk festival. And if you don't know what steampunk is, you're really, really lucky.
Yeah, exactly. So let's like destroy some young minds. What would you call steampunk?
I would call it wearing goggles and leather jackets and looking like an idiot.
I would say it's basically like that movie Wild Wild West.
Yes, where it's basically everything's like super mechanical, but it's all like 18th century mechanical. So it's like everything's like like looking glasses and like fucking big wheel bicycles and that kind of bullshit.
I mean, I don't see the appeal of it, but like that doesn't mean it doesn't have its merits, of course. I mean, I don't understand furries either.
If you don't see the appeal of it, wait until I'm done with this explanation of Steamstock 2. So there's been one of these already apparently, and I guess it went so well that they're having a second one. So here it is. Get ready for 2 days of retro futuristic fun at Steamstock 2.
First off, it definitely retro, yes, because it's all like a bunch of like brass, like mechanical stuff, but there's nothing futuristic about it.
Well, no, because I think that the steampunk movement thinks that the future will involve going to the past for all, like so we'll somehow lose our ability to have like a good phone or something like that, and like we'll start using Alexander Graham Bell's version or something.
So far, this all checks out.
Yeah, so far it's great. It's a one-of-a-kind festival, of course, that celebrates the highly inventive intersection of past and future with a wide variety of talented musicians, cirque performers, vendors, food carts, DJs, dance lessons, and more. Now,
you lost me at cirque performers, okay?
You lost me at get ready. But like, so here's my favorite sentence of the entire thing is right here. From chap hop to electro swing, junkyard skiff to neo cabaret and beyond.
Are those dances?
I believe those are music descriptions.
Genres? Oh my god.
So you've got chap hop, which I assume is like basically hip hop wearing chaps.
Oh my
the dumbest
god.
thing I've ever heard.
Mechanical chaps?
Right. Electro swing, which is just going to be swing dancing, probably with shitty
like putting like two
organs or keyboards.
It's basically like taking one type of dance and putting some sort of like techno word to it, where it's like hip hop.
Well, the whole movement is like take something old and then just pick something random new and like put them together and see what you got. Like in
cyber waltz.
Yeah, exactly. Easily, like my least favorite one in that list is junkyard skiff. Like if I ever meet somebody in my life that says I'm really into junkyard skiff, I'm kicking them right in the balls. Right now.
If I'd give you full permission if you ever come over my place and I'm really into junkyard skiff, you can just take me out back and shoot me like Old Yeller.
I'll fire you off the rooftop. But okay, so closing this up, Steamstock 2 is like Woodstock for the steampunk set, of course. Along with the live music, the festival includes aerials by Summer Strangelove, dance performances by Merci Beaucoup and Les Can Bijou, and an aerial rope exhibition by Kameko. And this is another one of my favorites. This fest also features the acclaimed UK rapper Mr. B the Gentleman Rhymers. First and only West Coast performance of the year.
I'm the Gentleman Rhymer.
Gentleman Rhymer. Please see the full event description, blah, blah, blah. But so that's for a mere $22 to $45, you can gain access to watch really horrible people make worse decisions.
I almost feel like I should go, but the thing is, it's one of those things where you go like, okay, let's go and do this and just check it out and make fun of people or whatever, and it's just like it's not going to be as much fun.
Or what if it gets great whited? Like what if the whole place burns down and everybody goes, well, I guess Jeff was really into steampunk.
Junkyard skiff.
Oh, he died doing what he loved, junkyard skiff.
Well, I wonder if it's like one of those things like the King Richard's Fair or like Plymouth Plantation, where if you go to one of these places where they try to recreate a time and you bring in something from the outside world, like in Plymouth Plantation in Massachusetts, like it's basically like a bunch of pilgrims. And like
Colonial Williamsburg or something.
Yeah, right? But if you go there and you say, hey, I need to make a phone call, is there like a pay phone around? They'd be like, I know not what you speak of.
Fucking drop it for 5 seconds. Tell me where the fucking phone is.
I'm bleeding out of my head. I need an ambulance. Ambulance?
Like, you're going to find out what the modern invention called the cattle prod is if you don't fucking tell me right now.
I'll burn you at the fucking stake, you wench. So what else is going on? We spoke about the plane crash at SFO last week.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
It was, well, little did we know how much humor we'd get out of it. And one of the things that I was like, everybody was like really like insulted because someone fed the wrong names of the
well, this is the
crew.
Basically, the blame ended because first of all, it was like, how could KTVU do this? And like, their excuse was that they got it from like an intern, right?
Well, so this is the thing. They went on air and they read these like phony names for like the pilots of the Korean airline, like
and not necessarily clever phony names either, like where you really had to think about it.
It's like the captain's name was Sum Ting Wong, and one of the pilots' name was like
We Too Low or something
We
like that.
Too Low or
Bang Ding Ow.
yeah. And as it turns out, like they're like, well, we got these. They went on air with it and they read it like something fuck or some shit like that. And like yeah, it's basically like came out of the mind of like a Mad Magazine flunky.
Right.
As it turns out, it did come from what the NTSB.
Yeah.
And but it came from a summer intern.
Right.
And all I could think of, well, first off, whoever this summer intern is amazing because it all proves is that like he came up with these like horribly fucking like horrible names. Like maybe like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Like this kid only needs like 2 hours to get over like this horrible tragedy,
Right.
and then he's like goes right to the fucking A material.
Well, and his job had to be so shitty for him to be like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, yeah, I don't care if I have to go to like federal jail behind this.
I would just love to think that like his boss had been like super abusive to him that whole week, and he's just like, oh yeah, this is the way a player goes out in a ball of flames.
They're like, oh, hi KTVU, here's the names. Oh, what's my name? My name is I fucking quit.
But also, like, I can't believe the anchor over at KTVU, like, after the first name, like, Captain Something Long,
Right.
like, she
Holy
didn't go,
fuck.
we need to go to a commercial right now, I need to murder someone. Like, I can't believe they actually, holy fuck.
Right.
Like, how did she not, like, clue in? And how did the person who's, like, doing the Chiron, like, the graphics generator, just go like,
Right.
oh, this all checks out. Or either that or he's like fucking hilarious. Like he's like buckled over at laughter as well.
A series of real comedians here, like,
Right.
just piling on this
was
one
like-
anchor woman.
It was like this perfect storm of adolescent humor. And all I have to say is that like yes, they got to the bottom of it. It was a summer intern, but how come nobody has found this guy? Like
Yeah, really.
like Huffington Post comedy should be looking for this guy like the government's looking for Edward Snowden.
Exactly. Like everybody's all like cranked out because like one of the Boston Bombers is on the cover of Rolling Stone this week. Why isn't this guy on the cover of
Rolling Stone totally dropped the ball. They should find this dude and put him on the cover of Rolling Stone.
And it would be great because he would immediately become a hero to like all unpaid interns in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Well, some of the reactions I heard people say like, "This is the reason why you have to pay interns." I'm like, no, you probably don't have to pay interns. Maybe you just don't have to be like super abusive to them,
Right.
or like,
Or maybe like
screen them a little bit better.
yeah, or maybe like do some of the work yourselves instead of like being like, oh yeah, like people are calling in for facts. We'll get this like idiot from Florida State to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you leaving it up to? It's like some guy at the NTSB is like, oh, it's a plane crash in SFO. Let that fucking intern handle it.
I got a tee off time. You do it.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's like the most classic way to lose your job. That is like it's like.
I was like, oh, you're gonna go play golf? Well, I'm gonna like, we'll see how that works out when I give this list of names to the fucking TV stations, dick.
I mean, that's basically like a job mic drop. It's like, see you later.
Something wrong. I'm out of here.
All right, you ready to take a break?
Why not?
All right, we will be back from the top of the View. And we are back at the View.
Hello.
The View high atop San Francisco.
So what do you think of this place?
I think it's good. Like, I'm not gonna come. I mean, this is a place where if you have somebody in town,
Yeah.
you bring them up here. Like, especially if you like, your parents are gonna love this fucking place.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not a whole lot of like, climbing hills or anything like that. You just want to sit around, have a drink, and
That's right. Get a drink in them. Make them shut up for half an hour. But
Yeah.
take in the view and like try to keep your mouth shut.
if they're my parents, you get up here, you show them a nice view, and then you get into arguments about the Red Sox.
So what do you think about like? Do you think they allow dogs in here?
They probably don't allow dogs,
I would say
although
it's a good bet that they don't.
I can see there's a bunch of like families here, so they allow kids. Like a lot of times, you.
I thought you were going to say like, but judging by some of the women at the bar, maybe they do allow dogs here.
The easy jokes.
Ding, ding, ding.
Like sometimes you can't bring like underage people into a bar, but if they serve food, if it's like a restaurant, you can. And I don't. Oh yeah, they do serve food here.
Right.
So that's why you can have like these kids like running around. So I
With
guess
impunity.
I guess it's fun for everybody. Like it is pretty amazing.
Thumbs
though.
down.
I feel like San Francisco has its own sort of like style, and it's not like super like European. It's not like Paris style where everybody's like really sharp dressed and like it's really like tailored suits walking around. It's more like kind of hipster style.
Slobs.
Well, but like skinny jeans and like ironic T-shirts and stuff like that, which I totally love.
Yeah.
But like what you don't see a lot in San Francisco, unless you go to like tourist traps like here, is like the
Tommy Bahama shirt wearing sandals.
Yeah, or people like wearing like short, like overweight people in shorts.
Right.
And like like a.
But if you go somewhere like Danville or something like that, you'll see that in spades. Like it's all over the place.
Sure.
Like,
well, I feel like even though like you and I have lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for a while, you don't have to go that far to be in the middle of America. Like maybe like 30 minutes outside of like the East Bay, and you're like in middle America.
Right. Exactly.
What else is going on? Tim Lincecum threw a no-hitter last week
on probably the biggest news night of the year, so it really got buried.
I know, it's so weird. Like he throws a no-hitter. But it was the same night that the George Zimmerman. By the way, like, why are they handing down the verdict of the George Zimmerman trial on a Saturday?
Saturday night. It's like, hey, everyone's probably had a few cocktails already, so here's a big incendiary verdict.
I'm actually really disappointed that there weren't more riots. I'm
they
sorry.
didn't just burn Florida to the ground.
Like, I'm totally sorry. It's like like you and I were living in LA when the Rodney King verdict came down, and that was just like letting those cops
and that was
off.
like an obviously drunk guy getting beat up by cops.
This is
not even killed or anything.
This is a teenage kid who was murdered.
Yeah.
And it's basically like a legalized lynching.
And everyone's like, okay, I guess let's go to Walmart. Because that was over.
I don't understand. Like, I was like following. I knew that was coming because I was following a little bit of it, and everybody was saying how the prosecution was fucking up.
Right.
I'm like, well, who's running it? Is it like Barney Fife or something? Because like, how are they screwing this up? Like the cops, this guy shot this kid with the gun that he brought to the scene. And the cops told him not to pursue. So like, how is it like? How are they fucking this up?
Well, I think it's just fucked up from the top down because like I got the feeling like everybody I listened to was basically like it's a really fucked up law, and so he didn't really break it. It's like and basically just admitting that like if you kill somebody, make sure you say that you were afraid for your life, and then you'll get off. Like, and that's basically what the law is. Like, it's you retroactively have to go into like your own mindset, and of course everyone's going to be like, oh, you mean I can get off from killing this guy? Then I was totally scared.
I mean, you can see like I'm totally for defending yourself, but I'm not for you ambushing somebody and then like you think, oh my god, I didn't think they were going to fight back.
Right.
And then like you killing them and then saying like, oh well, I was scared for my life. It's like you're the fucking idiot that was in this place in the first place.
Well, I'm amazed. I mean, like I was amazed, like the chief of police or whoever it was that like whose job it was to bring charges against him. Like he came out like a couple weeks ago, or whatever, like that, and was like, we never would have even pressed charges if it hadn't been for all the publicity and everything like that. Like
it took them a while. Yeah, like they didn't like arrest him. They let him go. They went to the crime scene. They're like, oh, you shot a black kid. All right, good night.
Well, safe driving home then.
Right, yeah, exactly. Fuck those people.
I was like, that's why I was disappointed too that Florida didn't just like pour gasoline over the whole state and set it on fire and walk to Georgia.
I can't believe. Well, anyway, I can't. Well, first off, I can't believe that I am really upset that there wasn't more like burning of like buildings and stuff. But whatever.
I guess I just answered my own question, didn't I, when I said that like I'm not sure why people didn't set fire to Florida and like walk to Georgia, like because then they'd be in Georgia.
They'd be in Georgia, right? Yeah.
You're like, shit. Now we got to set this place on fire and like go Mississippi. Fuck.
Also, what happened that night? There was a guy, an actor, who was found dead.
Oh yeah, like some kid from Glee.
I forget. I don't watch the Glee.
Nah, I don't either. So.
But I guess
Next topic.
I guess he had like some serious drug problems.
Yeah, good for him. He's like a boring Heath Ledger.
Oh, really? Well, I wonder because like initially, like I saw some headline that said that they don't think it was like a drug overdose. So I wonder if it was like a Heath Ledger thing. And I'm surprised like how many people still think that the Heath Ledger death was from like a heroin overdose. It wasn't. It was from he was taking like 7 different prescription pills at the same time.
Right.
And like he was taking like one pill to go to sleep, one pill to stay awake, one pill for like headaches and stuff. And it's like they say that's like one of the biggest like most abused like drugs now is like prescription medication.
Oh yeah.
And like he probably had like 7 different scripts from 7 different doctors.
I mean, you have to think. Well, it might have even been the same doctor. I mean, like imagine like.
Yeah.
Being like a doctor these days, how much money you can just make, like having a couple celebrity clients that you just write scripts for, like whatever they want. And it's like,
right, Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah. But
what else? Yoenis Cespedes won the home run derby for the A's.
Thus making, I'm sure, many babies conceived that night will be named Yoenis, I'm sure.
He's a Cuban-born player, and I haven't like read his full like biography, but I guess it was like really harrowing for him. I think he like defected during the World Baseball Classic in like Japan or something.
Huh.
So I wonder, like, these Cuban players, I wonder how many, and then he defects because he knows he can like make it in the MLB, and then it was like him trying to get his family over into the United States, and like I guess they had to go to like the Dominican Republic first, and then they were like getting, shaken down, or like the Cuban government was looking for them or something like that. It often makes me think that like if you're on the Coast Guard, like guarding like the end of Florida, like the Florida Keys and stuff, and you come upon like a Cuban raft of like boat people, you'd be like, okay, look, everybody's got to go back to Cuba unless. Are there any left-handed pitchers here? Can anyone
need you to line up by batting average?
Does anybody here hit for power and average? Because then we'll have to talk.
Let me get the guys with the good warp on the bow of the boat.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It's like, okay, so we're going to send you back to Cuba, but first we're going to have tryouts.
Exactly. Tell you what, I'm going to run from third base to home plate. You can gun me down from far right field. Maybe you'll have to
Welcome
go
to
back.
America. What else? This place is right across the street from the Metreon.
Oh, okay.
Which has had a huge like makeover, or like makeover implies that it got better, but like I think it's kind of gotten worse. And when
is that sort of like decaying into like a ghetto mall now, or what?
Well, no, actually, I think it's just becoming like a regular mall because. And
it's sort of like when it first like came onto the scene, it was like this futuristic mall. Like,
yeah, it was gonna be like space age.
Yeah, and like which completely dated itself. Like 5 years later, you're like ooh, neon, big fucking deal.
Well, then like the recession hit. Like when it first opened, like I knew people who worked there, and they said they were not allowed to call it a mall. And one of the big things about the
Sony shopping pod.
Exactly, it's a satellite of shopping.
Right.
But one of the things that the design of the Metreon was that there weren't a whole lot of walls, so you could kind of wander in, start looking at something, and not even realize it, but then find out that you're in a different store.
Ooh.
And it was like a cross between.
It's like made for like high people.
Yeah,
oh my God, I'm in the Gap now.
It was like a cross between like Mall of America and like Blade Runner. It's like, especially when it first opened up, it was like super crowded, and like the AMC's in there.
My name's Todd. I'll be your replicant today.
Right, exactly. What would you like me to do? And then like the recession hit, and I guess like all like the rents there were like super high. So every virtually every company in there like jumped ship.
Right.
So like it went from like having this space age technology where you could like step on lights on the floor and make them move, to like the only like one like kiosk that sold like friendship bracelets.
It's like a KB Toys and Pager store.
Right.
Like wait a minute.
When it opened up, it like has this one like sports bar called Julian's.
Right.
Or Jillian's, I can't remember.
Julian's, I think.
And it's got a
You might be right.
like a pool hall in the back. But they have like these huge screens in the front. And I remember when it opened, I was like, this is like the space age sports bar. You know, these
Right.
huge screens. And then when you go in there now, like none of the screens are HD.
Yeah.
So
it's
and
just
they're all
like
like
this muddled
projection.
mess of like projection TVs.
So it's like it went from like in a matter of years, it
Yeah.
went from being like futuristic to being like, wow, this place is a fucking dump.
It's like there might as well be like wagon wheels on the wall and like cobwebs between everything.
Oh, this is like, this is like this sort of old shitty bar motif you're going for, right?
No. We spent $80 million putting this place together 5 years ago, and now it's like, yeah, we couldn't scrap it for parts.
I watched the NBA draft there like 10 or 11 years ago, and Antoine Jameson was there.
Oh, really? He was actually
Yeah, he was, that's what it was. Like it was like
bartending or something?
No, it was like such a big like sports bar that like like all these like athletes would go there, and now they wouldn't be caught dead there
Unless they were working there.
Unless they're hanging out with Aaron Hernandez. Bam.
Vernon Maxwell.
Mad Max. All right, you ready to take a break?
Let's do that.
All right, let's take a break and we'll come back and land this plane, Captain Something Long.
Holy fook.
And we are back from The View.
Hello.
So I was talking to somebody about like crime, how like I feel like San Francisco is like there's a lot of money coming back into the city right now.
Yeah.
But there's also like a lot of crime going around. Like, and one of the biggest like crimes is like people snatching like phones, like especially iPhones.
Yeah.
And like if you're not paying, people say that you should not be using your iPhone at night.
Right.
And like just like showing people you have an iPhone, like you can make yourself a target.
Yeah.
Like, and Nicole, who was
Well, certainly not like walking along distracted, like obviously like from trying to find something or whatever. Like
Right.
you just look like you're not paying attention to anything around you, so someone could just walk up and walk beside you and take it.
Yeah, my friend Tia, she had like two like kids come over and tell her, "Give me your phone," and she was like, "No," and they punched her in the head. And
He's like,
also,
oh, I'm sorry, I misheard you. Here's my phone.
yeah. And Nicole had her phone snatched, like not too far from here, like 5th and Mission,
Oh, wow.
and she like just wasn't paying attention. Some like young kid like ran over, grabbed the phone,
Right.
and just ran away. And my friend Carrie was saying that there's actually a kiosk in the Westfield Mall
Yeah.
where it's supposed to be for like recycling, and you can bring in a phone, and they give you a certain amount of money for it because like it's like
So just
throwing.
steal it and run it over there and like
Right,
drop
exactly.
it off.
Well, think about it. Like it's initially supposed to be something good. Like okay,
Yeah.
like we can't like you don't want people like dumping their phones with like a lot of toxic chemicals and batteries and shit like in landfills and screwing up the environment. So it's supposed to be like an environmental thing. But what it ends up being is like like if you're like a drug addict and you need like $300, you just steal someone's iPhone, go over there, put it into the machine, get your money, and then go get your fix. Or if you're like a kid and you're like, hey, I'll just like this will be like super easy. I'll take this.
Well, it's like kind of like an idea that I had for the kiosk at like the Westfield was I would give $100 to anybody who brought in a picture of them slugging a stranger in the stomach. But people
But it
said
would
that would be
have-
like bad for.
Would it
like-
have to be in the Westfield Center?
No, it could be from anywhere. So you could slug them in the stomach over like Union Square and like run it over and drop it off.
They're like, ooh, this one's extra good. I'm gonna give you an extra $10.
Exactly.
So what do you think of this bar?
I like it. I mean, you know what? Like hotel bars are hotel bars. There's nothing you can do to change that really. But of all the hotel bars I've been in, like this probably has the best view of all of them.
Yeah, I mean, there once was one at the top of the Hilton, and I think that closed down because of like the recession as well. So I'm assuming like somebody's gonna put some money into it because that one has an even better view than here. It was, yeah, the SF Hilton on O'Farrell at like Mason. And I don't know if it's still open, but like if they open that up again, like we got to go over there. That's like the best view in the city.
Yeah.
Also, I've never been to Harry Denton's Starlight Room.
Or the top of the mark.
I've been to the top of the mark.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
nice. That's like really shishi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's got a nice view.
But I don't-
I
yeah,
want to say there's a Marriott in New York City too that like sort of has the same, like maybe even a rotating restaurant.
Oh yeah. Well, they had one of those at the Hyatt Regency downtown.
We sound like the world's most dull business people right now. We're just
I
like,
know, well-
hey, like you've never been to O'Hare's, like executive lounge?
Well, those the one at the Hyatt Regency, like the revolving restaurant, like I feel like that's another one where probably they just like closed it down because like the rent was too high or something like that.
Right. Now it's like a rotating like tire center or something.
It's like these speakers are just going around and around.
A shitty record store in like a rotating restaurant high above the city. Fantastic. But yeah, I mean, like, so you can pretty much you get what you would expect here. Like the drinks are probably a little overpriced, food's probably a little overpriced, but you trade it all for a nice view of the city and to get to rub shoulders with some of the dullest tourists you'll ever see.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking, like I said, it's parent material. You get your parents here, they will fucking love it.
Exactly.
Like, you can't like be bringing your parents down to like bottom of the hill for like a punk show.
Your parents will take one look around, they'll be like, this is more like it. There's no one even remotely ethnic in here.
All right, well, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
I'm falling down after 3 of these.
The mule, the double M,
the Moscow mule.
Yeah, Putin's mule.
By the way, speaking of, I saw the movie Pacific Rim, and it's absolutely horrible. But like they have, there are all these like people who, there's these teams that run the robots, and one of them is like this Russian team, and it's like, if you thought like Drago, that the character in like Rocky 4 was like ridiculously Russian. Like these people are just like, one looks like Brigitte Nielsen, the other one looks like Ivan Drago.
One's like constantly eating a bowl of borscht.
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, we are Russian. We crushed the monsters.
Here's my circus bear to prove that how Russian I am.
I feel bad because like I had like high expectations just because it was Guillermo del Toro, who did like Pan's Labyrinth and a bunch of other like
Hellboy and all that
Hellboy.
shit.
It was just like so goddamn awful. So I feel like it was like my fault for having high expectations, but it's his fault for making a shitty movie.
Either way, I blame Mexico.
Well, exactly. Well, I was going to like the theater and I realized like the only movies I was interested in seeing was like Pacific Rim, World War Z, or like This Is the End. It's like I think I have like an apocalypse fetish going on here.
Did you at least when you bought your ticket say, "Give me one for Rim Job"?
The Pacific Rim Job. Well, that's a different movie, sir. You have to go down to the Gold Club for that.
It's like, well, make it happen.
Make it happen. All right. So
as the sun sets over the San Francisco Bay,
as the fog crawls in.
Exactly. Or
this is SF.
Some such bullshit poetry.
All right, this is SFBarkast signing off. We will see you next week.
All right, we'll try to pick a place closer to the ground next time.
Exactly. We gotta like get our feet on the ground. That's a terrible saying.
We should probably keep reaching for the stars as well.
Okay, Casey Kasem. All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.